But with the financial mechanisms, you'll also hear somebody talking about financial mechanisms, but there are so many financial mechanisms that have evolved over the years. And the reason are the same arguments that we have been talking about, that as a negotiator there, you'll be arguing for your country. When they say, okay, these are the clean technologies, and maybe you cannot speak for the, and then maybe you're from the developed countryside and you are saying, I cannot speak for the private sector is the one that is deciding on those technologies. They are all the intellectual property rights. How can I decide for them? And the technology is expensive. So you have treaties like the Montreal Protocol that comes in with a multilateral fund. If you have real concerns, then you can get funds to support the new technologies. So your industries will get that kind of resources. This facility is not there for every treaty, but at least that's what makes some of these conventions more successful than others. That there is a facility that can help countries to adopt new technologies. And of course, most of the MEAs, core MEAs, have the Global Environmental Facility, what we call GEF, as their financial mechanism. And within the GEF, which has also been restructured several times, there are star allocations. So with time, the countries are given some resources, especially developing countries, to help them implement MEAs. The Global Environmental Facility, as you know, has some focal areas that they focus on, the chemicals and oceans and all that. So, and there are some implementing agencies around that Global Environmental Facility, and countries can be supported in some of these areas for national projects as well as transboundary projects. So you'll hear more about that issue. Then there are simple trust funds. Trust funds mostly have funds to help some of these MEAs organize the meetings, to engage parties so that we can keep the convention alive and to help implement. But with time, especially with UNFCCC, that's where you have a lot of these developments relating to the financial mechanism as well. Yeah, the adaptation funds, you will have the RED Plus funds, you'll have the climate investment funds, and the Green Climate Fund, where you'll be told, okay, they're dealing with, per country, they are dealing with $50 million per country. That is the minimum you can get. And countries have that facility to be able to apply. And of course, UNEP is now one of the implementing implementing bodies of the Green Climate Fund, and they are helping out countries to access funds from this under the framework of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Then there are adaptation funds, and of course Climate Investment Fund includes some of the private banks and some grants that you can get through some of these funding resources. And sometimes, of course, there have been some criticism that, well, how is it that, for example, Multilateral Fund for the Montreal Protocol, those who benefit are the large developing countries. But it's because when they are funding alternatives, they are the ones who have the large industries that should be supported. So if your industry is small, then you don't have any basis, because the funding is earmarked to support whatever is being regulated. It's not only an issue of capacity, but it's an issue of whether you really need the money to to change whatever technology that is required. The Multilateral Fund for the Montreal Protocol also supports capacity building in each of the countries.